What's up, everybody? Thank you so much, Restoration Nation, for listening to my podcast. I am Pastor Steve Harris, and this is your turn. Well, I keep saying she's a special guest, but she's kind of like becoming a regular, because I am going to be interviewing other people when all this is going down.
A regular.
This is my wife, Anna Marie, also known as...
Hi, guys. Rhea here.
So,
good morning or afternoon or night, wherever you are.
More like mid-morning when we recorded this.
Yeah.
So, I want to thank you again for tuning in. And, it just gives me an opportunity to talk about, things that people want to talk about and things that are on people's minds. And,
right.
One of the things that keeps being a reoccurring theme is just getting more and more serious and more tense is our current state of affairs. Now, as I'm recording this, of course, part of the country is starting to come back online and open up back online. But I want to talk about this tenseness because it's concerning. It's not a little I don't like you, let's call the whole thing off, but we're okay kind of thing. When you have, honey, I know you didn't see this morning, but your husband did.
What's that?
On the state capitol, I believe it was of Michigan, they had a whole bunch of people in front of the State House. And a few of them had, I guess you would call them machine guns or like semi-automatic type rifles.
Right.
And they were dressed like they were on special ops, ready to go in and take care of business. Now, at the same time, California's going through it, New Jersey's going through it. Here, because we really don't see an end in sight with New Jersey, although Rhode Island has declared that they are coming back online. So, there's a lot of things. I noticed that, so you have the camp of, bring it all back right now because the economy needs to come back and people need to work and save jobs and everything else. Bring it back. Now, flip a switch just as much as you flip the switch off, right? And then there's the camp that says, whoa, wait a minute. We still don't have proper testing. We still are increasing. We still have numbers every day of people coming in the hospital saying I have COVID or been tested and they have it, right?
Right.
And so you get the camp that says, well, wait a minute. You're putting me back. You're telling me I got to go back to my job, but you're putting my life at risk. And I don't even know whether or not I have it or not. Now, this is where I'm going to, ask for more of your input. Mm-hmm. I know you've heard me rant about this privately, but I see this thing going on where it's like you can't even mention certain things online anymore because people will tear your head off. And it used to be, back in the old days, pre-Donald Trump elections, well, it was going on before that, but social media wasn't as strong. But I saw a lot of divide with that whole thing between the election of 2016, between Trump and Clinton. And okay, that got really ugly, but we kind of came out of that, but then there became more, but it was like, all right, there's some settling here a little bit. I put up things about Jesus, honey. And normally, we've had problems with that. And that I don't make any bones about. And it's like, whatever, like tune me out. But if I put something up that remotely rubs people the wrong way politically, I get more charge out of that than I do putting up stuff about Jesus, telling people that you'll be in a place of weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now tell me, honey,
wow,
where are we going wrong here?
Yeah, right? That's kind of crazy. And I'm just thinking because what's happening is, for years, you and I lived our lives with what's called our spiritual eyes closed. So we didn't understand the things, of the spiritual realm. We didn't remember, were introduced to it. We didn't, live it out or anything like that. And now that we are, I think that we're seeing more and more people coming to that side, if you would, to the side that we decided to come on, and with that, it's like, it's a time right now that we're in that people can go one way or the other. They could stay, where they feel about the Lord in such a way that they don't want to have anything to do with them, or they might be like, I need to try this Jesus thing,
Yep.
And I think that's what it is. I think that hearts are softening and they're stirring more towards our side, if you would, because we're on that side. That's our side now. For the last 16 years, our eyes have been opened, and we see that. And so I think that with all this going on, and death's door so close, with just so many deaths, in our faces, with these numbers they keep giving us and stuff, people don't want to tie it to the politic game, it's like, wow, I think I need to give this a try. I need to give this Jesus thing a try. I see a lot of these people, they're full of love, and then you got this other side, they're a little crazy, and they're trying to push him on us, and that's one thing we can't do. We shouldn't push him, because he never pushed us. He didn't create robots,
Right.
So anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking about that.
So you see it from a spiritual divide, which
very much,
I agree.
which I think I always will.
I agree with that. I'm looking more along the lines, though, of just today, the situation where people may not understand spiritual warfare, and I'm looking at this and I'm going, I know we have family members that have different opposing views of what we may have, and it's okay. But I can see how real quick it can cave in quickly and become a major divider. And I don't know. I've said this over and over again, and I'll probably say it over and over again. I like to have people's input, even if they don't agree with where I'm at, and vice versa, and we could be totally on a different camp. But give people the opportunity to express themselves, but then be able to come together and say, okay, how can we work this out? And what I see is, we shared a letter from Senator Van Drew that was sent directly to Governor Murphy in New Jersey here. And here we are, we're a small church. We only have like 15 people physically. We have a lot of people online, but we have a small church physically of about 15 people. We could easily practice this social distance thing.
No, yeah.
We can easily do this. And we don't even have to do it in a building. We could do it in my backyard, other places. But if somebody rats you out, you got a chance of going to jail. And at the same time, I don't want to put people in harm's way. However, you have another camp that says, hey, wait a minute. Don't do any of that, because, this thing is not under control. And it just goes back and forth. And then politics come into it. And because the governor's a Democrat, and the senator's now a Republican, and if you're, pro-Trump, anti-Trump, pro-Biden, and the list goes on. And I guess where I'm at with this is, I'm trying to filter my Facebook ways, but I just can't seem to get constructive talk online with people, because they're so charged, they can't see past it, and they're just going to shut you down. They're going to block you. They're going to hate you. They're going to call you names or whatever. And that goes on both sides of the ball. Well, there's multiple sides of the ball, really. And I struggle with that, because I know you and I have come up in a background where we have had in our families people who just don't care what they think. They just say it. And, you and I have kind of been along the same lines along the years.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't foster a conversation. It fosters I'm right, you're wrong. And yes, Jesus is very narrow and yet wide at the same time. He's narrow about the way to God. And then on the other hand to that, he's wide because for God so loved the world.
Yeah.
So it's a real delicate dance. And I guess when I wanted to, record this. We're in our green screen room right now. And as we go out into the day and try to enjoy a little bit, go to the Amish market and get some good food, I want to challenge our listeners, honey, that, whatever you're passionate about, and, we're always going to say in here, we're passionate about Christ. We're passionate about God.
Absolutely.
From a Christian perspective. But let's just say you're not. Let's just say you're an atheist. Let's just say you're agnostic, a Muslim, whatever. Whatever you're passionate about, let's have dialogue. Constructive dialogue with real solutions. You could be in a business and you got tensions there. A family, where you're a husband and wife, children. All of a sudden, a lot of people are without a job. I mean, millions of people now do not have work.
Right.
That is causing an immediate stress. The same thing for the schools. Schools in Jersey are closed the rest of the year. Parents have had to deal with their kids and trying to educate them. I'm sure there's online platforms and some teachers have been trying to jump in. But that's a whole different dynamic. And even with church, I mean, we kind of slid everything over to our living room, but, some of the people we haven't seen in months. And having that physical touch and trying to keep that connection has been a challenge, even though we have the technology. So, any final thoughts to this, honey? What could you recommend to our listeners about, just our etiquette, whether you want to call it net etiquette or just the way we treat each other? What would you say?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go the spiritual route, again, because that's just a lot of times, where I roll, how I roll. And, I didn't know that my mission in life was to love God and love others. Okay.
Right.
I didn't realize that the two main things. And so with that love, the way that God loves us, he loves everybody. And we can't wrap our minds around that he loves everybody the same. We can't, because there's so much evil in the world. We can't wrap our minds around that. But if we could grasp that kind of love, we would think before we type or talk.
Yeah.
Or, something like that. And so, and it just comes down to just, taking a minute and saying, well, do I need to be right? Because I was thinking about that as you brought about that being right thing. It causes a lot of tension in relationships. And we had that issue for a long time and sometimes still can. What is it about that? It's so overrated to be right.
That's just because I'm right all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, along with the program.
And so I got to be right too. And so then it causes a big issue. It causes combativeness,
No, it does. It does.
You know what I mean?
Seriously, it does.
And that's what happens a lot of times, when people, type things out and fire in the fingers, goes on. And then, people get hurt and, then you're like, oh, I don't even want to share anything. I don't even want to like anything. I don't, maybe I'll look at it for a minute, but then I'll just scroll right by it.
Yep.
So it all comes down to love, babe.
And and it's a great point, honey, because, you and I in our personal relationship, we have gone down that road and, I've had to back off.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. I mean, we both have
Anybody?
But we both have had to back off and just, start to appreciate each other and let God work on us. And
21 years of marriage, it takes time. So if you're newly married or if you're in a new relationship,
and there are people,
it's work.
There are people that are laughing right now that have been married like 40 years and all that, and they're thinking, man, you're just getting started. So here's kind of the wrap. Yes. Especially, I'm going to talk to Christians and non-Christians here. Christians, we got to stop slaying each other. For crying out loud, stop it. Even if you have a different point of view in politics, just stop the slaying. And for the non-Christian, I would say the same thing. I mean, people have different points of view or whatever. Okay, you don't have to go along with it, but at least give the people an opportunity to express themselves. So on that note, I want to thank everyone for taking the time out of your schedule to listen to my podcast, Your Turn. And honey, I want to thank you again for being my quote-unquote special guest once again.
It's always amazing being by your side, honey.
Full of... Well, anyway. So we want to thank you so much, guys. And listen, I'm going to be working on trying to get this published in more places, so bear with me. But if you have been blessed by this podcast, give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe. You know the deal. And that was my stomach growling.
Oh.
Right there. So you know what that means. It's time for me to hit it.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.